Au gratin potatoes have always been a family favorite and something we always had for a holiday meal, especially if we were having ham. To make my classic French au gratin potatoes, you will need 4 large russet potatoes, 1/2 of a medium-sized onion chopped into rings, salt, pepper to taste, 3 tablespoons of butter, 3 tablespoons of flour, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, and 2 cups of warm milk. You'll also need 1.5 cups of cheese. I'm using a cheddar cheese and a Monterey Jack cheese. You want to cut your potatoes thin enough so that they'll cook fully. If you're lucky enough to have a mandolin, this is a great time to use it. I personally don't own one, don't want one, and much prefer to cut by hand. Your first step is to melt your 3 tablespoons of butter in a flat bottom pan. And once it's all completely melted and bubbling, as it is now, it's time for the butter to accept the 3 tablespoons of flour. All at once. Whisk it around. You want to cook out the flour taste, but you don't want to burn the mixture. You want it to cook for at least 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, add your salt and your pepper. And now it's time to start adding our slow additions of our 2 cups of warm milk. So as you can see, our sauce is thickened beautifully. And now it's time to add the entire 1.5 cups of cheese, cheddar and Monterey Jack. You can be creative with the cheeses and use whatever you like, but this is my favorite and preferred combination. Gently stir it around until the cheese melts. And at that point, your sauce is actually finished, and it's time to assemble our casserole. So we want to do this in 2 layers. First layer of potatoes and onion. I'm going to put the entire onion on the first layer, not on the top. And then the rest of the potatoes just laid over the top. It's best to use russet potatoes or Yukon Gold. You want a potato with a high starch content because it'll absorb the sauce better and give you more flavor, but more importantly, it'll hold its shape in the baking process. So you just want to fill out the top of your casserole with your potato slices. This might be the time that you want to add a little bit of salt, not a lot, and a little bit of pepper. I tasted our cheese sauce and it's perfectly seasoned to my taste, so I'm not going to add any additional pepper, and I'm not going to add a lot of extra salt. Now you just pour this beautiful cheese sauce over the entire casserole of potatoes. Scrape out all the beautiful sauce out of your pan. So now it's time to just take your spatula and just kind of push your cheese sauce around, making sure that it is getting down to the bottom of the pan and it's covered all of your potatoes beautifully. Many people confuse au gratin potatoes with scallop potatoes, but potatoes, when they're cooked in a cream sauce, are scallop potatoes, and when they're cooked with cheese, they're considered au gratin potatoes. And au gratin actually means to create a brown and cheesy crust, or actually the brown crust on a casserole. It's a French term, of course. And so adding this top layer of cheese is essential for this casserole to get that beautiful brown cheesy top. This is the time to preheat your oven to 400 degrees. The next step, and then we're really finished except for the baking, is to cover the dish with foil. And the dish needs to sit on the counter for 20 minutes before it goes into the oven. That's a very important step. Once it's in the oven, it'll bake for 1 hour, 45 minutes covered, and the last 15 minutes uncovered. Many people think au gratin means with cheese, but it actually means to brown with a crusty top. So as you can see, there is no need to be intimidated by au gratin potatoes. They are really simple to make, and they are always a family favorite.